So I am Casey Jones. This is Daydream. I am a vintage shop owner, but more specifically, I am a gender inclusive, size inclusive, everybody's included. Even the conservatives can hang out here if they want, vintage shop. Gender affirming clothing, I would say, is kind of the specialty of it. But as far as like decades or anything like that goes, it's like whatever's cool, whatever finds its way into my world will be here. So I actually came out like during the pandemic, and so my entire process of like navigating the queer world has been alongside of me also navigating like being self-employed and like having this shop. And so it's only natural that the brand identity like kind of went in that direction too. It all became one where like once I started wearing more masculine clothes, I incorporated masculine clothing into the shop because I mean, that's what I was wearing. That was what I was inspired by. And then also like people started buying it. So then it kind of like reaffirmed in my head like, okay, yeah, I should be doing this. This is a good thing. The fact that I was going through that process with gender and like all of that, like it built a community around that, and it like it truly is like so beautiful to be in here, and like people of like all different genders, but also like in different like steps of their gender like pipeline like in here, and then they get to like play dress up and like, you know, whether they're just like dipping their toes in it or like they're like fully years down the line, like this is like a place for people to come and like find community and like not feel so like alone and isolated. And like I can't imagine the shop not being like gender affirming in that way, because that's like that truly is what makes it special and like fun to be here. So Southern Pines is very conservative, and it is out of place. And I think that's like any smart business is based off of like there's like a need or a problem to be solved and you solve it. You know what I mean? If we want to break it down into like capitalism like that, like yeah, like it's out of place and that's why it works. But also like there's such a need for like anything out of the norm here. The process that like I found myself wasn't here, it was outside of here. And then I come back and I realize like all of these people are like so desperately craving to like not try and fit that mold, because it's like, yeah, that like golfer conservative old money, like that is here and it's authentic to some people, but to a lot of people it's not, and they're just trying to fit in. I have said this my entire existence in retail. This has always been my favorite part of what I do. When someone comes out of the dressing room and they look in the mirror and they do that little spin, they're like, and you can tell they're feeling themselves. Everyone in the store enjoys like that moment of joy that like it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it is such a beautiful moment, and I love being able to witness that, especially if like I give them the piece of clothes and like if it's not something they pick out and I'm like, you should try this on, and then they like, it's like they like level up as a human and you get to like witness that like character unlock, like level up. It's like I think that's so fun. Yeah. Yeah, so all the clothes in here, for unless they're like made locally, it's all secondhand. And the accessories, everything like that, except for the sunglasses. Sunglasses aren't secondhand, rip. But everything else in here is. And so me having artists like, you know, make their art and have it in here, it's kind of, it adds an element of like, this might not be secondhand, but it is like locally made. So in the fast fashion realm, it's like, I'm doing good. I'm doing the Lord's work when it comes to anti-fast fashion. I guess I should have like emphasized that when you first asked like what I do, but yeah, fast fashion literally is killing the planet. It's literally killing your brain. It's killing everything and everyone. It's horrible. It's rotting everything. There's different elements to fast fashion. We'll say there's different speeds, right? So you have like the fastest of fast fashion is like what people typically think of with like H&M, Zara, like Urban Outfitters, all of that. So basically it is like a business strategy where like these clothing stores will just like bump out, like typically like in the fashion world you have like seasons where like your like spring, summer, fall, holiday, all of that, right? But with fast fashion, it like literally will have like new seasons like weekly, if not daily. Whereas like Shein is like daily. There's new products just being bumped out, right? And so not only is it like bad for the environment, a lot of people typically think fast fashion, like a lot of waste is like contributed to it, but also like it's really bad for like the amount of like water that it takes to like create garments, the like chemicals used like in the manufacturing, also the dyeing and the shipping, all of that, like that's very wasteful and that has a huge environmental impact. But it also has like a huge like psychological impact on the consumer with advertising. It creates like it is an addiction, right? And so it's horrible in that aspect. That's why I'm like, it rots your brain. But also what people don't realize is like pretty much everything new is fast fashion at this point. It just might not be like as fast as Shein, but it's all made in the same garment factories. Like the ethical dilemma of fast fashion, like people not getting like paid, not getting paid living wages, but like not getting paid like hardly anything, like 10 cents a week type income, right? Horrible. People, when they think of that, they think of like Bangladesh and stuff like that, but it happens in LA, like it happens in America as well, just not as much, but garment factories, like non-ethical fast fashion garment factories happen here as well. They happen on the East Coast as well. It's not just LA, right? Like swimsuits and stuff like that, like any garment is made by hand. It's not like made by a machine that just like presses two sides of a t-shirt together. It is sewn, like people's hands like push them through a sewing machine. So someone has to make them. I'm very excited to get back into pop-ups and to work on my website again. That's something that I've really missed. 3-year plan, I would like to have a second location. Realistically, with how my life is, like it'll probably be in the Triangle. But I would love to make my way back to Wilmington at some point. And then big picture, like dream, maybe it'll happen, we'll see. I would love to buy up some of these historic homes and turn them into apartments and have an art residency program in Southern Pines for not just like potters and not just like painters, but like fabric artists, like even like people leaving high school, like wanting to get into it, so that way artists can have affordable housing here in Southern Pines, because that's why a lot of them leave, because they can't afford to live here and they're also like don't fit in here. So it's like, why would you stay? You can follow me on Instagram. It's the Daisy Daydream. My website also is the Daisy Daydream. I do have mystery items on there, so you can order like a grandpa sweater. I think they're like $34. But it's like a cool like printed sweater, right? You don't know exactly which one you're getting, but you'll know like the size, color, all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's about that.